Good morning, Ria ma'am.
Good morning, ma'am.
Hello, good morning. Am I audible, ma'am? How are you?
Uh, yes, ma'am, you are audible and I'm fine. How are you, ma'am?
All good, all good, all good. Okay, so let's start the class.
Sure.
Screen is visible. The
Yeah, yeah,
employees
yeah.
state insurance act.
All
Okay,
are clear. Yeah.
yes. Okay, perfect. So, good morning, class. A very long
Morning, ma'am.
holidays. Uh-huh. So, let's start the Employees State Insurance Act 1948, study note number 7. See, first of all, before starting the class, I will tell you about something about your paper. Actually, two classes were not held due to my health, right? So I will send the recording to all of you. So now open the page number 5 of your book. You will see that this paper that is paper 2, applied business and industrial law, have 3 parts. Section A, Fundamental of Applied Commercial Law. Section B, Fundamental of Applied Industrial Law. And in this part, ethics is also covered, right? So, including ethics, Companies Act, and some industrial act, very small acts, right, has been divided into the 30% of your subject. And 70% part is the fundamental of applied commercial law, and which covers the law of contracts, sale of goods act, banking and insurance law, and fourth is partnership act and limited liability partnership. Right? So these 4 acts are very major act which covers the 70% of your paper. Right? So you have to very clear about this paper, and the rest 30% is are the very small chapters. First we will cover these small chapters so that it seems that our course has been some little bit covered, right? This is also an important part. Don't think so it is 30%, so it is not important. It is also equivalent to important to the 70% part of the applied commercial law. Right? See, before starting the chapter, I will tell you about the some basic about the industrial law. So, what is the industrial law? Hmm? Industrial law. What covers the industrial law? Basically, industries. Industries. What are the industries? Where the manufacturing, production, or some kind of factories are held, right? Wherein the production or manufacturing activities has been done. And even these industrial laws are also equivalent to applicable to that company or to that organization which have 10 or more employees, 20 or more employees, right? So where the labor has been introduced plus skilled labor also include, and semi-skilled workers are there where manufacturing activities, production activities, or some kind of services are provided. These industrial laws will be applicable. And this industrial law basically to protect the labor, to protect the workers, to protect the labor, to protect the employee from some mishappening, from some future protection like the gratuity, right? A bonus. Bonus is the reward for the extra work, you know? And provident fund, basically it is like a saving account. Insurance, Employees State Insurance Act, where the company comes forward to do the insurance of the Employees State Insurance Act, right? For protecting to the employee and protection of their family's member for some accident, for medical coverage, so on, right? So page number Employees State Insurance Act, on the page number 136. Okay, students, I hope you have all your study material. Hmm?
We did not get physical copy, ma'am, but we are reading from the link provided in our login.
Okay, okay. Fine. So please but do one thing. Please do have some notebook and pen or pencil, right?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes. So open the page number 235. Employees State Insurance Act. Right? You may see in the screen. Screen is visible.
Yes, ma'am. It is visible.
Yeah, okay. So study note number 7, Employees State Insurance Act 1948. So introduction. See, as I told you, the industrial law basically are made for the protection of the employees, protection of the workers or laborers, and basically it is the welfare. It is the welfare from the company towards its employee, right? And the Employees State Insurance Act aims at providing for certain cash benefit to employees in the event of sickness, maternity, employment injury, or some kind of medical facility in kind of worker who are employed in the factories and establishment to which the act applies. And these benefits are secured by financial contributions to the scheme by both employers and the employees. So, highlighting this line, I am highlighting this line. These are benefits, medical facilities, sickness coverage, maternity coverage, right? They are secured by some financial contribution. And these financial contribution are done by both employer part also and employee part also. Some contribution is made by the employer and some contribution is made by the employee. We will read in this chapter in what percentage employer and employee do the contribution. So the act is one of the compulsory state insurance benefit. The Employee State Insurance Act come into force. Highlight this line. The Employees State Insurance Act come into force from 1948. From your exam purpose, highlight this line. Once again, I am telling you, the Employees State Insurance Act come into force from 19th April 1948, mainly on the recommendation of Professor B.P. Agarkar. Leave it, right? So this line is important for your exam purpose. The Employees State Insurance Act came into force from 19th April 1948. And this section extends to whole of India. Clear? Now, objective. Important. Basically, this is the basic of the chapter. If you have covered this part, the whole essence of the chapter you will understand very easily. The Employees State Insurance Act was enacted with the following objectives. Number one, to bring about social and economic justice, to secure maximum labor welfare through various welfare schemes for the employees, to secure maximum labor welfare through various welfare schemes for the employee. And in this welfare scheme, they make some provision for some certain matters related to benefits of in case of sickness, maternity, and employment injury, and to provide a mechanism for the enforcement of the act. The scope and applicability of that, this act extends to whole of India. This act applies to first, number one. See, you will write that this act extends to whole of India, and this act applies to the first instance applied to the all factories, including that factories also which is belonging to the government, right? All factories, all type of factories, whether private or government, but not the season factories. Here is written that other than season factories. So that means this act will be applicable to all factories other than the season factories. What are the season factories? Question is that what are the season factories? Any student? What are the season factories? No one? It's very simple question. Please class reply. See your chat box. You may write also. Right, Tejasni. Season factories that deal with the seasonal produce. I think your speakers are muted, na? Okay, no worries. We will use chat box if there is any question or answers. Okay, fine. Yes, factories that deal with the seasonal produce like sugarcane, seasonal, है ना? Woolen, wool, seasonal. So we choose a seasonal factories. So where in that case, in that factories, ESI will not be applicable on that factory. Number two, appropriate government. The appropriate government may, in consultation with the corporation, or where the appropriate government is the state government, where the state government is applicable, and with the approval of the central government, it may apply to other class of establishments, industrial, commercial, agriculture, or otherwise. But after the consultation of the central government, after giving 1 month notice of its intention of doing so, and it will publish the first official gazette. It will published in the official gazette by the notification that we want to apply some establishment, industrial, commercial, and agriculture activities to be covered in the Employees State Insurance Act. Clear? Number two, a factory factory or an establishment to whom which this act applies shall continue to be governed by this act, notwithstanding that the number of persons employed therein at any time falls below the limit specified by or under this act, or the manufacturing process therein ceases to be carried on with the aid of power. नहीं समझ आया है ना? Okay, not understood. Okay, let's start again. बंद कर देखा है. Okay, once again. So, a factory or an establishment to which this act applies, where the ESI is applicable on any factory or establishment, they will continue to be governed by this act, notwithstanding that the number of persons employed therein at any time falls below the limit specified by or under this act. Means, once the ESI Act is applicable, it will be continued. Right? In that ESI is applicable, first see that page number इसमें नहीं लिखा. Okay, see, when the ESI is applicable to a factory, when more than 10 employees are there, when 10 or more than 10 employees are working there, then the ESI Act will be applicable, right? But once it is applicable, it doesn't matter कि the employee limit is 8, 7, 6, है ना? 11, 12, 15, 18, no matters. Clear? Once it is applicable, then it is applicable. Whether manufacturing process are carried on with the aid of power or without the aid of power, no matters. Once it is applicable, then it will be continued to be applied. Clear? So the central government has since prescribed the wage limit for coverage of an employee under section 29 of the act as rupees 21,000 per limit. Yes, wage limit. An employee should have minimum 21,000 rupees per month basic wages. Further, it is provided that an employee whose wages, excluding the remuneration for overtime work, exceed 21,000 rupees at any time after or not before the beginning of the contribution, it shall continue to be an employee until the end of said period. Means, when the ESI is applicable to the factory, when 10 or more persons are employed there, right? And once it is applicable, then it will be continued. But which employees will be covered in the ESI? That those employees who have minimum wages is rupees 21,000 rupees per month. Clear? If it is exceeds rupees 21,000 rupees, then they will not be covered into the ESI coverage. In that case, the employees will not be covered into the ESI coverage. Clear? But further, it is provided that an employee whose wages exceed rupees 21,000 rupees a month at any time after or not before beginning of the contribution period. Means if an employee's salary has been exceeded into any month more than 21,000 rupees, then it shall be continued to be employee until the end of the said period. Clear? Okay. So now there are some key definition. Who are the employee according to this act? who are the employee according to this act. Section 2, subsection 9 defines the term employee as any person employed for wages in or in connection with the work of a factory or establishment to which the act applies. Section 2, subsection 9 defines the term employee. Means as any person who are employed for wages in or in connection with the work of a factory or establishment. Means an employee who is employed for wages, who is doing work for the wages or doing work in the factory or establishment to which the act applies, and who is directly employed by the principal employer. The employee which is directly employed by the principal employer for doing any to own any work or incidental or preliminary to or connected with the work of the factory or establishment, whether such work is done by the employee in the factory or establishment, whether such work is done by the employee in the factory or establishment or elsewhere. Means, let's study into little point. There is a big para, hai na? See, the employee who is directly employed by the principal employer for doing any work or incidental work or preliminary to be connected with the work, है ना? Means helper type in the factory or establishment, whether this work is done by the employee in the factory or establishment, or whether such work is done by the employee in the factory or establishment or elsewhere. Clear? No matters if it is employee who is directly by the principal employer, it will be covered into the definition of the employee. Number 2, the employee who is employed by or through an immediate employer, means contractor, on the premises of the principal employer, means contractor, right? Immediate employer means directly employed in the company. So who is employed by or through an immediate employer on the premises of the factory or establishment or under the supervision of the principal employer or his agent on work which is ordinary part of the work of the factory or establishment, or which is preliminary to the work carried on or incidental to the purpose of the factory or establishment. Means the employee who is employed by or through an immediate employer on the premises of the factory or establishment or under the supervision of the principal employer, who is doing work through an immediate employer on the premises of the factory or under the supervision of the principal employer or his agent on work which is ordinary part of the work of the factory where the work carried on or incidental to the purpose of the factory or establishment is done. Clear? Number 3, that employee will be also covered whose service are temporarily lent or let on or hire. Temporary employee. Clear? To the principal employer by the person with whom the person whose service are so lent or let on hire has entered into a contract of service. whose services are temporarily lent or hire on to the principal employer. Clear? And these includes any person employed for wages on any work connected with the administration of the factory or establishment or any part, department or branch thereof. Clear? But these temporary employees will not include member of the Indian Naval, military or Air Force. On that employees, ESI will is not applicable, right? Any person who so employed whose wages excluding remuneration for overtime work exceed such wages as may be prescribed by the central government, provided that an employee whose wages as may be prescribed by the central government at any time after and not before the beginning of the contribution period, they shall continue to be an employee until the end of that period. Right? And following categories. The following categories are coming under the preview of term employee. Canteen workers also include in the definition of employee. Employees who are working on showroom or sales office. Workers rendering services outside the place of establishment or shop. Part-time employees employed on daily rate basis. Casual workers. Clear? They will be also covered in the definition of employees. Now wages. What is the wages? What is covered into the wages? Point number 7.4.2, wages. So wages means all type of remuneration which is paid in cash, all remuneration which is paid in cash if the terms of contract are fulfilled. Wages include any payment in any period of authorized leave, lockout or strike which is not illegal or layoff. Even wages will also be covered if the payment is made in any period of authorized leave, lockout or strike. This will be also included in the definition of the wages. And it also include remuneration paid at interval not exceeding 2 months. 2 months. Clear? Authorized leave. Every month employee has right to take 1 or 2 leave as per the policy of the company, right? Even if the factory have been lockout or there is some strike, which is not illegal or layoff, right? Which is not illegal. That lockout or strike which is not illegal, or strike which is not illegal or layoff. And includes other remuneration paid at interval not exceeding 2 months. But wages will not include contribution paid to the provident fund or pension fund. But doesn't include contribution paid to the provident fund or pension fund, traveling allowance or value of traveling concession, sum paid to defray special expenses, gratuity. These 4 things are not the part of the wages. Pension fund, traveling concession allowance, traveling allowance, could some type of special expenses and the gratuity. This will not be covered into the definition of wages. The following are treated as wages. LIC premium subsidy. This is the part of the wages. house rent allowance, HRA, heat, gas and dust allowance and incentive allowance are the part of the wages. Incentive bonus, overtime allowance are also part of the wages. But it will not include, once again I am telling you, but it will not include contribution paid to the Provident Fund, traveling allowance, to defray some special expenses and gratuity. Clear? Now the exempted employee. Who are the exempted employee? Simple. Means an employee who is not liable under this act to pay the employee's contribution. Simple. Who are the exempted? Clear? Any question? Till here, any question? No, ma'am. Okay. So let's start again. Family. As I told you, this act is made to cover the employee and their family members for some unseen medical emergency, hai na? Right? And which family members of the employees will be covered into the ESI? Spouse, minor legitimate or adopted child dependent upon the insured person, child who is wholly dependent on the earning of the insured person and who is receiving education till he or she attains the age of 21 years. Once again, spouse, dependent child, adopted child, legitimate child, minor child will be covered. Child who are dependent on the earning of the insured person, who is up to the age of 21 year and receiving education. And unmarried daughter will be also covered into the ESI benefits. A child who is infirm by reason of any physical or mental abnormality or injury and is wholly dependent on the earning of the insured person so long as the infirmity continues. A child who is infirm by reason of any physical or mental abnormality or injury, and that child is wholly dependent on the earning of the insured person, it will be also covered into the definition of the family. Dependent parents whose income from all sources doesn't exceed such income as may be prescribed by the central government. Dependent parents also be covered into the definition of the ESI. In case of insured person is unmarried, and her or her parents are not alive, the person is unmarried, parents are not alive, then who can be covered? Minor brother or sister who are wholly dependent upon the earnings of the insured person, they may be also covered. In that case, bhai bandhu, brother, sister can be covered into that case. Clear? But they should be wholly dependent upon the earning of the employee. They should not do any job or other some source of work. They should be wholly dependent upon the employee. Clear, family members? Now the contribution. In what ratio contribution will be made? Yes, please. Who wants to speak? Siddharth Pagaria. Yes, Siddharth, please. If you are not able to speak, then you please may write. I think your mic are muted by the institute, na? No question? Okay. Yes, typing. Wait, I'm waiting, Siddharth. Okay. No, ma'am. No question. Kirtan Mandal is also typing. Yes, how many children will get that facility? See, there is no definition or no limit has been prescribed. Usually, two children, है ना? Usually, two children is covered into that employee, but in the ESI, there is no limit has been defined, right? Okay, now, Ekta,
Okay, ma'am.
contribution. What limit has been contribution? See, I told you there is two contribution. Yes, class, I am here. Sorry, apologies. Some electricity issue. Right now, I'm back. Okay. So please, class, focus on the class. Yes, registration of employees. Yes, I was telling you, every employee has to be registered himself under the provision of this act. This process is completed by the organization. Basically, after registration, employer or employee can make the contribution after that, right? And this process also, if the registration is it identified to provide the employee benefit to provide the benefits which are available under the act that are related to the contribution which are paid by the employer on behalf of the insured employees. The employee is required to give his detail and his family details to his employer. Family photo is also to be provided so that the employer can register the employee. Basically, registration is the process of obtaining and recording information about the entry of the employee into the insurable employment for the purpose of his identification under the Act. Registration of employee is the process of identification to provide the benefits under the Act which are related to the contribution paid by the employer on behalf of the each of the insured person. At the time of joining the insurable employment, an employee is required to provide his and his family details to the employer along with a family photo so that the employer can register the employee online. Basically, one-time exercise in the lifetime of an employee. Once it is registered, then the ESI number will be continued. No matters organization, he changes the organization or not. Clear? Now the Employees State Insurance Fund. Employee State Insurance Fund. Section 26 of the Act provides for the creation of Employees State Insurance Fund held or administered by the corporation. So all contribution paid under this Act and all other money received on behalf of the corporation shall be paid into this fund. The grants, donation, gifts from the central government or any state government, local authority, or any individual or body where incorporated or not are also paid into this fund. So basically, this fund is created for the government, the grants, donation, or gifts received from the central government or state government are also paid into this fund. But there is some purpose for which the fund may be expended. This is the government fund, state insurance fund. ठीक है ना? Okay. So purpose for which the funds may be expended, you please study at your home. If there is query, I will sort out. This paragraph you will study at your home, 7.5.9. Okay. So next, benefits. What are the benefits? Section 46 provides that the insured person, their dependent shall be entitled to the following benefit. Number one, periodical payments to an insured person in case of sickness. Periodical payments, time to time payments to an insured woman in case of confinement or miscarriages or sickness arising out of pregnancy, confinement, premature birth of child or miscarriage. Clear? All this facility will be covered into the ESI. Periodical benefits to an insured person who are suffering from any disablement as a result of employment injury sustained as an employee. Periodical payment to such dependent of an insured person who dies as a result of employment injury sustained as an employee. Clear? Medical treatment will also be given to the insured person. Payment to the eldest surviving member of the family of an insured person who has died towards the expenditure on the funeral of the deceased insured person. Even see, these expenses will also be covered into the ESI. If the injured person at a time of his death doesn't have a family, the whole funeral payment will be paid to the person who actually incurs the expenditure. Right? Much needed these expenses to be paid to needy employees. Right? So, okay. The amount of such payment shall not exceed such amount as may be prescribed by the central government. The claim for such payment shall be made within 3 months of the death of the insured person or within such extended period as the corporation allow in this behalf. Clear? This claim for such payment shall be made within 3 months of the death of the insured person or within such extended period as the corporation will allow in this behalf. Medical benefit. Section 56 provides that an insured person or a member of his family whose condition requires medical treatment or attendance shall be entitled to receive medical benefits. Such medical benefits may be given either in form of outpatient treatment or attendance. Attendance means visit in a hospital or dispensaries, clinic or other institution, or by visits of the home to the insured person, or treatment as in patient in a hospital or other institution. A person shall be entitled to the medical benefit during any period for which the contribution are payable in respect of him or which he is qualified to claim sickness benefit or maternity benefit, or is in receipt of such disablement benefit as doesn't disentitle him to medical benefit under this regulations. Now question arises that, ma'am, all hospitals are covered? There is no question came in from your side. The section 59 provides that the corporation may, with the approval of the state government, establish and maintain in the state such hospital, dispensaries or other medical or surgical services as it may think fit for the benefit of the insured person and their family's member. Clear? If there are some disputes or there are some claims, then the ESI code will be established by the state government for such local area, and the ESI code may decide any question or dispute arises to whether any person to an employee within the meaning of this act, whether he is liable to pay employee contribution or not. Rate of wages, contribution rate. Who is the principal employer to pay actually just a minute class. कॉल ड्रॉप ही हो गई. टिफिन वगैरह सब लगा दी ना दोनों के. हाँ हाँ ठीक है. टिफिन में रख दो ना उसको, प्लास्टिक के टिफिन में. हाँ और दही रखी हुई है फ्रिज में. एक टिफिन में, प्लास्टिक के टिफिन में, जामुनी रंग का टिफिन होगा, उसमें दही रख दो. एक ही टिफिन में. यस, तो ESI court may decide any question or dispute arises as of to. Yes, ESI. What will be the role of ESI court? The role of ESI court will be that the person liable to pay employees contribution or not, rate of wages or average daily wages of an employee for the purpose of this act, rate of contribution, person who is or was the principal employee in respect of an employee, right of any person to any benefit or as the amount or duration thereof, direction which are issued by the corporation on a review of any payment or dependents benefit, on any other matter which is in the dispute between principal employer and the corporation, principal employer and the immediate employer. The ESI court have full right to settle all these matter which are in the dispute between the principal employer and the corporation, principal employer and the immediate employer, person and the corporation, and employee and a principal or immediate employer. And the following claims shall be decided by the ESI court. Claim for the recovery of the contribution from the principal employer. Claim by a principal employer to recover contribution from any immediate employer. Right? Claim against a principal employer. Claim for the recovery of the value, for the recovery of the value or amount to the benefit received by a person when he is not lawfully entitled thereto, or any claim for the recovery of any benefit which are admissible under this act. The ESI court have full right to settle that claim. If ESI court is not able to settle this claim, then appeal can be laid to the High Court from the order of the ESI court if it involves a substantial question of law. And this appeal shall be filed within 60 days. Highlight this line. This appeal shall be filed within 60 days from the date of the order of the ESI court. Clear? Jurisdiction of civil court. No civil court have jurisdiction to decide or deal with any question or dispute as aforesaid the adjudicate to any liability, which is to be decided by a medical board or medical appeal tribunal or ESI court. Only ESI court and after that the High Court have authority to settle all these matters, all these claims. Okay, class? Any question? Can you please provide any notes for easy reference? Oh my God, notes where all these points are simplified. It is not simplified. Huh? Your study material is not simplified. I taught you in very easy manner. It's not understood. Huh? My teaching is not simplified. Say Tejasni. Understood? Huh? Okay. Short notes will be provided to you, right? But that doesn't mean ki you not study from your study material. You may not attend the class, right? Yes, just to read before the exam, we will provide you before the exams only. Your paper is covered only on the study material, not from the easy notes. We will provide, but not early. So it is so early, right? You have to attend the class, important points, exams, what exams may cover are discussed into the class. Okay. So any question? No? So okay. So let's conclude the class. Vikas Kumar, you have joined this time.
Yes, ma'am.
Hello, am I audible? I'm saying that on Monday you will join at 7 a.m. Class timing is 7 to 8 a.m. Monday to Friday. Okay. So let's conclude the class. Thank you so much. We will meet on Monday.
Thank you, ma'am.
Okay, thank you. We will meet with a new chapter.